this I didn't really see in other sites or anything else. Now, Postmillennial has a definite slant to it, so would quite clearly pick this up. The takeaway, the initial takeaway, is that people who were banned off YouTube and very well, in particular YouTube, around the time of COVID and thereafter, because of what they said about COVID and other things, will get their accounts reinstated. And so there's a few people like, yay, I get my account back. Some of them, well, a lot of them were conservative, and the big headline here is that the decision by Google was not done in isolation. It was done because of the administration at the time pressured them to do that. Now, Google, I think, have enough of a position where they would have done it anyway. But the admission, so it's come out of the House, not oversight, Committee on the Judiciary from the US House of Reps. So that's where this article is being drawn from. Rep Jim Jordan has put the tweet out, or the X, what do you say, still tweet, I guess, that has the, I guess, the proof of the pudding. Proof is in the pudding. That walks through the evidence for that being the case. In the letter to the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, so this is the letter that they've contained, Google's company, Alphabet, stated that, hit down here, senior Biden administration officials, including White House officials, conducted repeated and sustained outreach to Alphabet and pressed the company regarding certain user-generated content related to COVID-19 pandemic that did not violate its policies. While the company continued to develop and enforce its policies independently, the administration continued to press the company to remove non-violative user-generated content. In all this yelling and screaming about Trump being authoritarian and being anti-free speech and things like this, you have a smoking gun, one amongst many, showing that this previous administration, in amongst others, actively worked to suppress speech. Now, the argument being that dissemination of information relating to COVID-19 that wasn't necessarily official or down certain lines was akin to yelling fire in a crowded theatre. Now, to some extent, yes, there were comments made and content being created that was on that level, but with how hard they went against any criticism of the COVID response was a problem. Now, we're going to look at something a little bit later on in regards to Australian response and actually some of the flow-on effects that has had. And it's the sort of thing that you'd like, who was right? Trust the science was a common refrain. Well, science doesn't shift. It's your interpretation of science that does. And if a politician is telling you how to read the science, I don't want to listen to the politician. So yes, administration officials, including the president, created a political atmosphere that sought to influence the actions of platforms based on their concerns regarding misinformation. So everyone was laughing at Trump for saying fake news. Right there from Google themselves. So, yes, it is unacceptable and wrong when any government attempts to dictate how content should be monitored. Well, to an extent. Section 230 and provisions, are you just the carrier? Are you the content manager? You sit in lots of places. Company terminated. So the company did terminate channels for repeatedly violating community guidelines on elections integrity content through to 2023. So clearly influenced election outcomes, and COVID-19 content through 2024. Today, the guidelines allow for a wider range of content regarding COVID-19 and elections integrity. Believe that when I see it. And so YouTube will provide an opportunity for all creators to rejoin the platform if the company had terminated their channels. I don't know that people necessarily admit that. So people have requested content to be reinstated. So commentators like Tim Pool, who was largely liberalised, is relatively centrist, leaning conservative now, basically request restoration of content featuring Alex Jones, okay, quite an out there commentator, and Joe Rogan. Well, Joe Rogan was fairly open to people talking to him, and so banning the content for dubious reasons relating to medical misinformation. It's just, yeah. And it's not just Google, it was also Meta, so Facebook, Instagram, that group of families. And there is the episode with Joe Rogan with Mark Zuckerberg, the one from 2025, where he talks in more detail about it. Now, Zuckerberg's talked about it from time to time, the level of pressure that was involved. There were, when after Elon Musk bought Twitter at the time, there was a bunch of investigative work done to work out what had gone on in terms of suppression of various voices on Twitter. And there are there are a bunch of investigative journalists in their Substacks that had rather detailed rundowns of the influence that had been applied externally and internally to suppress voices that went against the administration at the time, and the active work that had been done basically to suppress anything to do with Trump and his attempts to get elected, and then to target to basically suppress supporters of him. It wasn't a case to suppress bad news about Trump, if anything, it was the other way around. So it contributed to, I guess, people feeling of a conspiracy against them. Well, conspiracies don't mean that they're fake. It's just that there was an active thing to go on. But we're looking at the impact of speech here